Unfortunately, we have to start today's amped up podcast for Wednesday, June 7th, 2023, with some sad news. The legendary, and I know we use that word a little bit too loosely in society as a whole, but especially the pro wrestling world, but legendary in every sense of the word, the Iron Sheik has passed away at the age of 81. His family leaves on his social machine the following words: "Today we gather with heavy hearts to bid farewell to a true legend, a force of nature and an iconic figure who left an incredible mark on the world of professional wrestling. It is with great sadness that we share the news of the passing of the Iron Sheik, but we will also take solace in knowing that he departed this world peacefully, leaving behind a legacy that will endure for generations to come." 81 years old, the Iron Sheik, a massive part of BC's, and I know so many of your childhoods. One last time, to the Iron Sheik, to family, friends, and all that knew him so well, salute. Gone, never to be forgotten. So, if BC was to tell you he's confused over the WWE product, you'd probably answer back, "Of course you are, BC. We all are. It's just another Wednesday. It's just another Monday. It's just another Tuesday, another Friday. Business as usual. It's just a redundant circle, like a merry-go-round or a carousel, and it just goes round and round, and it's more bad than good, and at times you just want to get off the ride, regroup, but you keep tuning in because it's habit and hope. We've been watching since we were little kids. That's the habit, and the hope, hoping that it gets better, so you jump on to the merry-go-round again, you jump back onto the carousel, and you join the redundancy of BS. And a lot of fans have stopped tuning in out of habit and hope. You see that in the numbers, obviously. A lot of fans said, "I'm done with the habit and hope. I gave enough hope, and it's time that I kick the habit." But NXT gives us a beacon of hope, right? It's the light, the shining light at the end of the tunnel most weeks. BC's Tuesdays are usually jacked-packed, stacked. But if I ever get 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 25 minutes, I usually like to tune into the USA Network if it's a Tuesday night and check out some NXT, right? Is that a character that is being created? Is that a storyline that's developing? Is that entertainment I'm watching? Is that interesting? If the answer is yes to most of that, you're usually, probably anyway, watching NXT. It's by a landslide better than Monday Night Raw, and most weeks even better than SmackDown. But something has been happening at an alarming rate ever since the brand split draft. You know, when Pinocchio Pussface, Schnoz McGee, HHH, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the BSer that he is. I mean, you don't get the name Pinocchio by not telling more lies than Pinocchio himself. And you remember Schnoz, he said, "Oh, we're going to do this draft, and it's going to be more meaningful and more bigger and better than ever before." And ever since the draft, on the main roster, everybody's just switching brands. Paul Heyman has a visitor's pass attached to his phone, and he's starting the show and doing promos on Raw, even though he was literally the first one drafted with Roman and Solo to SmackDown. Shotzi just shows up on Raw out of nowhere and joins forces with Raquel to take on the tag champion or go for tag championships. Shotzi was on SmackDown. How is she in gear on Raw and running to the aid of Raquel? Don't question it, BC, we're told, right? Let Triple H off the hook. Then of course you have AJ Styles going for what Paul Levesque said in his own words. Paul Levesque's words. Universal title's going to go wherever Roman is drafted to, and then the other brand will have its own championship created. That's what he said. And then a week later, we find out SmackDown's going to go for it too, and AJ Styles, a SmackDown star, is all over Raw. Video packages, being in all the promos. No brand split. And then NXT. You think that's at least saved, right? NXT is at least going to be saved because that's developmental. This is what Paul told us. Paul Levesque said so. Don't believe me, I have the words from the horse's mouth himself, the BSer himself, Schnoz McGee, Pinocchio Pussface, as his nose grows by the moment, by the lie in real time. This is what Paul Levesque said. Now First, let's remember what he said about AEW, right? His competition. This was an actual quote. This is actual audio. This is Paul Levesque talking about AEW, his true feelings on it.
Billy, let's be honest. Hold on. Let's be honest. He will buy that pissant company just to fire you again.
Okay, that was Paul. I hope you picked up that audio. That was a skit they did when Billy Gunn came over from AEW to take part in some reunion with DX, I guess. I don't know. Pick a show. Raw 30, Raw 25, DX. Special night for DX. They're always running these ratings ploy type shows. But Billy Gunn goes over there, and H on live TV tries to bury AEW. Vince McMahon will buy that pissant t-shirt company just to fire you again. Okay, now we fast forward. This was an interview with Ariel Helwani when asked about AEW kicking their ass straight off of Wednesdays onto Tuesdays and how Paul Levesque feels about AEW beating the shit out of them because this was a pissant t-shirt company that beat the shit out of Paul Levesque. And this is what Paul said. Pinocchio Pussface.
Nonsense.
No, look, we do, people put so much pressure on all this competitive wars. It never was that. Look, first of all, they beat our developmental system. Good for them, right?
Say that again?
Beat our developmental
What
system.
did they beat?
Well, they beat our developmental.
First of all, what?
Never was that. Look, first of all, they beat our developmental system.
They beat what, first of all?
That. Look, first of all, they beat our developmental system. Good for them, right?
They beat our developmental system. Good for them. He downplays it and acts like they're still just a pissant t-shirt company. Now, if you don't like AEW, that's fine. This isn't one of those tribalistic channels where we put one company over the other. BC is going to call it down the middle. If you're new to the channel, you're going to find that out fast. You're probably going to cry and be pissed off at a lot of these podcasts because it's going to seem like I'm burying your favorite company. No, I'm equally tearing, shredding, ripping apart all companies that don't make sense. And right now the pro wrestling world doesn't. But this just happens to be about NXT, WWE. Paul Levesque calls it a pissant t-shirt company. Then he turns around after he gets his ass whooped and says, well, congratulations, you beat our developmental. You beat our developmental. Now that was literally, guys, I can't even, how do you put this in words? Let's forget. I was going to fluff this up with more examples of how much overtime, because that was just a few months ago, that interview, right? Or he has since said the same words in 3 separate interviews. That's just live audio I was able to get you from several months ago with Ariel. But then he has since said the same thing. I think it was like New York Post and a few other articles. You beat our developmental, he says. All right. Here we are right after what was supposed to be the best draft ever to really dignify and signify a realistic, badass brand split that you are going to follow the rules to the point where the audience can really feel like there is a separation. The talent can actually be prideful in what they're representing, right? Not like Bianca Belair, who was told there's probably going to be a title swap. How do you feel about it? And Bianca Belair goes, well, as long as I'm representing a W, meaning any title, I've had fun defending the Raw title, but as long as I'm defending WWE's championship, it's good for me. No, that shouldn't be the case. You were defending the Raw Women's Championship for so long. That should be prestigious, right? It shouldn't be just, oh, here you go, like Halloween candy, right? Here's my Twix. You give me a Kit Kat. No way. Twix is way worth more than a Kit Kat. A Kit Kat in a Mr. Goodbar or a whatchamacallit. Remember whatchamacallits? I want at least 2 for my Twix. What are we doing? We're swapping championships like titles. Now that thankfully has gotten back and they haven't even done anything yet. I think they're holding off on that because they're thinking their wheels are spinning, right? It's starting to smoke. They're starting to think, how can we do this in a creative way? And nobody has an idea of how to get the Raw Women's Championship off of SmackDown and the SmackDown Women's Championship off of Raw. By the way, Paul Levesque still has no idea how he's doing it. Just another fucking BS decision by Paul Levesque. He creates a new world championship for Raw, which is basically just what they tried to make the U.S. title last year. The open challenges, the U.S. title is main eventing Raw. It's going to be for the working wrestler, and it fell to the wayside. Nobody was taking the U.S. title seriously. We still wanted to know where the world champion was, sitting at home drinking a martini, Roman. And so they made a new championship because of all the backlash, no pun intended to the pay-per-view, but to all the backlash they received at WrestleMania when they botched the booking decision and kept the title on Roman and told him to go on vacation for 2 months. So they botched it and they had to make a new title. So now here, Paul Levesque, and then he had to just give Roman a new title to condense the 2 titles when they should have split them up before WrestleMania. That way Cody could have got the world title he always wanted, and Roman could have had his Universal and collected his 1,000 days. Everybody wins. But they waited till after. Now Paul Levesque has to make 2 new titles, one to condense the 2 titles Paul Heyman was carrying, and a new world title for Raw to fight over. On top of that, he's got 2 titles on different brands. The Raw Women's on SmackDown, the SmackDown Women's on Raw. Everything makes 0 sense in WWE. Welcome to Paul Levesque's World Wrestling Entertainment. He's just making decisions, hoping for the best, and then realizing afterwards he's botching, and every single wrong is collecting like bricks making a wall. And soon he's going to turn around and see that he's got a wall of wrongs, and you can't get through it. You can't chop it down, you can't break it down, you can't bust it down, you can't take down this wall. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Paul Levesque has made 1,000. So the championship scene's all over the place. That was left field with a hockey stick. How we even got onto that subject, beyond me. Let's get back to it being a pissant t-shirt company. It defeats NXT, and he says, congratulations, you beat developmental. He creates this brand split and or at least the draft to make the brand split relevant again. And now we just have more questions than answers. We have more confusion than ever before. Championships and champions don't make sense. And now it has leaked down to NXT, where now you are getting, through free agent rule, which is basically the last kid picked at gym class. Only back then, when you didn't get picked in gym class, or you were picked last, or again, let's just stay with you, just didn't get picked at all, you couldn't just get a free hall pass to go into any classroom. You would have to stay there and watch everybody that got picked play dodgeball. But no, unfortunately, we're just going to muddy the waters, blur the lines, and just have these wrestlers go wherever they want. Well, if that's the case, who wouldn't want to be a free agent? You get to go to any brand, go for any championship. My point is, this was supposed to be developmental. I just played you audio from Pinocchio's words himself. This is why we call him Pinocchio. He runs in circles and never truly answers a question. And when he does, he lies. He lies through his horse teeth. Paul Levesque says this is a developmental brand and downplays Tony Khan whooping his ass. And now what are we seeing on the show just last night? Now, I didn't view this show, but this is everything that I'm hearing. And last week, I did see the clips. Baron Corbin is in NXT right now. Baron Corbin wants World Championship gold in NXT. He wants to take out Carmelo, anybody in his way. Baron Corbin, NXT. I thought it was developmental. I thought it's developmental. Ali shows up last week and last night. I think he wants Wes Lee's North American Championship. Ali shows up to NXT. Free agent rule, I guess. I thought he was drafted. I guess he's a free agent. Maybe it doesn't even matter. Just go wherever you want. Ali is in NXT again. As Baron Corbin showed up for something totally different, Ali also showed up. He wants gold. I thought it's developmental. Dana Brooke. I'm not even done, guys. I'm not even done. Dana Brooke shows up to NXT last night. That's right. Baron Corbin is in NXT. Ali is in NXT. Dana Brooke shows up, says she wants to add her name into the Battle Royal to go for the NXT Women's Championship. She didn't end up winning. She went to the final two, I believe, with Cora Jade, but then Chase University etched out the victory. The old thing where you forget somebody's in the... you forget... What's going on over here? You don't want to stick around with Triple H's confusion? Tough shit. You're sticking around. There you go. You're going to stick around. In fact, you know what? I want Macho Man to hear this. I want the Macho Man to hear this. Sorry, Mach. Mach is like, what did I do, man? What did I do? I didn't deserve this, man. I don't want to hear about Paul Levesque's bullshit, man. I'm the cream and it rises to the top. Paul Levesque is the bottom of the barrel. He's the shit at the end of the shoe. Yeah. Sorry, Mach. You got to hear this, bro. So Dana Brooke shows up, Chase University, that old storyline where you forget they're in there, they creep up at the very end, and they eliminate whoever was in there. So Dana Brooke did not go for the championship, but Dana Brooke back in NXT in some form. Maybe she's there to put over some talent. I don't know what the reasoning is. Maybe she's there to eventually go for a championship title match, put Tiffany Stratton over. Take it from Tiffany Stratton. I never know with this company anymore. But Dana Brooke, same show with Ali. Same show with Baron Corbin. Guys, I'm not even done. I'm not done. End of the show, I guess Braun Breaker ended up calling out Sethington Freakin'. He wants to go for Sethington Freakin's World Championship. Braun Breaker. Now, you talk about the free agent rule. Braun Breaker's in that category, and now Braun Breaker, see, you didn't even think of that. Now they can just go to the main roster, or they want them to keep coming into NXT. More main roster onto the NXT. How many more can we take? Baron Corbin, Ali, Dana Brooke, Sethington freaking Rollins. We just got done with Apollo. Jinder Mahal was before that. Dolph Ziggler was not that long ago. Developmental my ass, Paul Levesque. But the best part is this, and I wish I still had the audio up. In that same, I think it was the same exact interview with Ariel Helwani. If it was different, it was around that same week. He cut this interview because I remember doing a podcast and covering both quotes from Paul Levesque. He said, think of NXT. This was a quote from Paul Levesque, nearly exact. If I'm paraphrasing, it's only a few words. He said, think of NXT like college football. College football. That's what NXT is to the main roster. NFL is the main roster. College football is NXT. In what sport do you know the athletes go back to college football instead of playing in the NFL? Or they're able to go back to college because the NFL just didn't work out. Or NBA, right? Michael Jordan failed in the NBA, so Michael Jordan had to go back to North Carolina. That wouldn't happen. That doesn't... You gotta hear this, Mach. Mach, I understand, man. I understand, Mach, but you gotta hear this, bro. Everybody has to understand the land of confusion, as Phil Collins best put it. Genesis, the land of confusion that we are in with Paul Levesque's WWE, and it trickles down to NXT, where you have You have all of these people showing up back to college, according to Paul Levesque. Major League Baseball, hockey, it doesn't matter what sport. You wouldn't go to the main roster or the top of the league, the main league, Major League Baseball, National Basketball Association, National Football League, and then go back to college because it's not working out. You don't see that. You said, Paul Levesque said, think of NXT as college football to the NFL. No. NFL players don't go back to college football when it doesn't work. And they snuggle back to where they were a big fish or at least a bigger fish in a very small pond. You can't just crawl back to college like that. Paul Levesque is using these analogies and he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Nowhere near in the realm of following what he's saying. I don't even think he keeps track of the own BS that's spewed out of his mouth like the spritz he used to do in his entrance. You thought that was just water in his entrance? That's all the BS that he's spewing politically backstage. My point is, what is NXT these days? It has so many entertaining segments, and it has so much potential, but it doesn't have an identity. And I think I've cracked the code as to why not a lot of viewers tune in every Tuesday night. We talk about it on this channel a lot. NXT seems to be good most weeks, the best show of the week. Good storylines, good character development, intriguing shit to get you to next week. But why are fans not really giving it a chance? Or when they do, they don't feel like they have to tune in the next week. I think it's because it doesn't have an identity. They don't know how to take NXT. They don't really know what it is, and they don't know what it is because the guy at the top, Paul Levesque, doesn't know what it is. And I'm not letting Michael Hickenbottom, by the way, HBK Shawn Michaels, off the hook here. He's running NXT, and guys, whether you know it or not, he does get to call a lot of shots. Paul Levesque is letting him do a lot. The point is, it is Paul Levesque's, not Vince McMahon's, not Shawn Michaels. Paul Levesque has said in many interviews, he is running that ship. He is allowing Shawn Michaels to make X, Y, and Z decisions. So Paul Levesque has to know that this is contradicting his own words. One wrestler on the main roster that shows up with good reasoning and a great story to make us believe that he'd be there or she would be there, okay, no harm, no foul. We can get into that. Maybe it'll pop the ratings a little bit and it'll be fun. But 2, 3 at a time, when you had Apollo and Ginger and Dolph kind of meshing around the same time frame, when right now, last night, you had Dana Brooke, Ali, Baron Corbin, and Sethington freaking being called out by Braun Breaker. I mean, you're talking about the main roster totally flooding NXT. What happened to developing, putting the spotlight on all the stars? You like to say that, oh, Chase, you stole the headline with the Battle Royal last night. But no, the headline is Dana Brooke was in that thing. You like to think people are even talking about Carmelo Hayes, but no, they're talking about Baron Corbin being there. Why? Question mark. It's not in a good way. It's not like, oh, Baron's there, I gotta watch. It's a massive question mark in the opposite way, the negative way. And on top of that, nobody even cares about Baron and Carmelo because they're talking about Braun Breaker, who did not beat Carmelo, calling out Sethington. And if you want to go deeper than that, Wes Lee and Ali, is the spotlight really going to be on Wes Lee, or is it going to be more on Ali, who failed at the main level? Booking absolutely did not help him. I get it. Still a failure. So now you crawl back to where you came from, where you can maybe get some good cheers again, because that's what everybody talked to when Ali showed up last week. Did you hear the pop? Well, I would think so. They're in a fucking gymnasium, basically. That's what it feels like. You got a couple hundred people there, and then a fake few hundred more on the upper stands. It's all like fucking CGI'd or some shit. Of course he's going to get a good pop. You know, anybody can go back to high school and be the big the big fish in that small pond, right? You go to college, you're an absolute nobody, but you were a somebody in high school, so you go back to see your old stomping grounds. All your teachers are praising you. The principal's happy to see you. All the students know about you because they see your picture next to the trophy. Maybe you won some high school championships with the football team. As a freshman, you were helping the varsity team win. All 4 years, you were team captain. And you went back to your high school. I mean, it's the same thing. My point is, guys, NXT already gets blasted for not having an identity. We've been talking about NXT has not really had an identity for the longest time because everybody is saying a different thing. This person's saying it's this person's saying it's and that person's saying something totally contradictory to both other responses. The receptionist is telling you one thing, the janitor's telling you anything, talent's telling you anything, something else. The parking lot attendant is telling you NXT is something different. Nobody knows what NXT is. We can only go by what the guy who's running the ship, who says he is anyway, Paul Levesque, because even if McMahon's in the weeds, I assure you he's not doing anything with NXT. He's just footing the bill with it, right? He's paying all the fucking money for it. But if they ain't careful, Endeavor will put a stop to NXT. If they're not going to produce in the numbers and if they're not going to have an identity, people are going to get fed up. USA Network will be the beginning and Endeavor will pull the plug on it. Paul Levesque has to know this is not what he said. Congratulations, you beat our developmental. What's developmental about Sethington Freakin' showing up to defend his world championship? Or Dana Brooke in a battle royal to go for the NXT championship? Or Ali showing up to NXT to go for the mid-card championship, the North American? Or Baron Corbin going for the world title of NXT against Carmelo? What is developmental about Baron Corbin, Dana Brooke, Ali, and Sethington Freakin'? There's nothing developmental. Dolph Ziggler, Apollo, Jinder Mahal, and so many others you guys can name off. There's nothing developmental. Once in a blue moon, if you want to try to pop a rating, and maybe you can do it in a fun way where we believe it, and it actually helps out the talent, once in a blue moon, okay. But this alarming. Last night alone, WWE's main roster stole all the headlines. You better hope you pop the rating. I don't know if it's in right now. While the recording of this is on, I will check out for you guys. I can't get in contact with my sources, so I'm going to go to Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, who usually has the pretty accurate... I can usually get it before Brandon, but Brandon does his due diligence usually. I just don't know if it would be out yet. So I'm not getting an NXT number yet. That'll probably be out when you guys receive this vid later in the afternoon. But I mean, I really hope with all of this WWE main roster presence, I hope they can crack 700,000. I mean, you're calling out the world champion. You got Baron, Ali, Dana Brooke. I hope. Chances are they did not hit 700,000. Chances are they didn't come close. Can they hit 650, which is what they hit a few weeks ago, I believe. I think that was their ceiling. And then they dipped back to those younger 600,000s, even steadily in the 500,000s. Can they come close to 650 at least? I'm hoping. Because if they're hovering around just 625, and all that main round talent presence on you, then who's being developed? You know, you develop supposedly guys like J.D. McDonagh. And he comes to the main roster and he takes out the guy who had to go back to NXT to get TV time, Dolph Ziggler. And they try to act like Dolph Ziggler's this big fish in this big pond. He's not. I like Dolph. It's a shame that he's gotten the booking that he's got. I still think Dolph's one of the best wrestlers in the world. But booking-wise, nobody cares about Dolph Ziggler. And J.D. McDonagh, 5'10" build. I think he's 5'9.5", but he's billed at 5'10". He's billed at 194 pounds, I believe. More like 187. So he's 5'9.5", 187, I believe. And he's going to show up and do what? Everybody's like, oh, he's going to join Judgment Day. J.D. McDonagh in Judgment Day. Wow. Can't wait. I can barely hold my excitement. Let's kick out Damian Priest and bring in J.D. McDonagh. So J.D. McDonagh can fucking have donuts with Finn Balor. What? Balor does not have donuts. Have you seen my abs? I don't eat donuts. JD McDonut. Why do I care about JD McDonut? Because he can wrestle, basically. Okay. I'd pass right by him in a Home Depot, a Lowe's, a Wendy's, a Whole Foods supermarket, Toys R Us. We'd pass right by him wherever you are. The pet store. Getting your pet a new treat. I don't care. You'd pass right by this if he's got a baseball cap on, you'd pass right by JD McDonut. He's not larger than life. You're not like, wow. You're not. We'd probably walk by and he'd be in awe of BC Amplified. He'd be in awe. I know that sounds harsh and that I'm throwing shade, but it's true. You're asking us who got developed. Who's developed? JD McDonut is on the main roster. I'm pretty sure nobody gives a shit as much as they care about Candice LeRae being on the main roster or Mia Yim Munchkin or whatever they're calling her now. Nobody cares. Who's being developed? Braun Breaker? So you're just going to pluck the world champion on the main roster back to NXT? Tiffany Stratton, Roxy, you have all these females, Cora Jade, a lot of female talent that I've been impressed with over the episodes that I've been able to personally catch over the past couple months. There's so much great female talent. Dana Brooke doesn't need to be there to steal headlines, not to put the job over or do the job to anybody on there. They are more than capable. That women's division is one of the best in pro wrestling, rivals that of Impact Wrestling, easily. And we're just plucking random people and saying, well, free agency. But H told us, Pinocchio Pussface, Schnoz McGee told us, Paul Levesque told us that it's college to the pros. When do pro athletes go back to college to whoop the ass of the college athletes? That's not fair. And then what? Where does it end? Do the pro athletes get to go back to high school, beat the shit out of the high schoolians, and get high school championships? That's not fair. Of course they're going to whoop their ass. What is NXT? It's a question I truly have. And nobody has an answer. You know why? Because they'd be lying to you. Because the guy running it all, Paul Levesque, and I usually always blame Vince with him. Trust me, I always blame both. But I know, by a landslide of a fact, I know Vince McMahon is not in any NXT weeds. He's just footing the bill. And again, that's now soon to be fully Endeavor that's going to foot that bill. So don't be shocked if NXT gets plucked in the near future. But this is Paul Levesque working hand in hand with Hickenbottom, Shawn Michaels, and Paul Levesque is allowing some really weird shit that contradicts every one of his words. This is not college to the pros. Cut the shit. Because all the pros are going back to college all of a sudden. A pissant t-shirt company that whooped your ass and you downplayed it as developmental when you have all of this main roster talent flooding NXT. Doesn't sound like developmental. Sounds like you're talking out of both ends. Sounds like you're spewing all the BS you usually spew. The only difference is now you're getting caught up in it. The stack of shit is piling up, and you're probably not going to be able to get out of it. Paul Levesque. Muddying the waters, blurring the lines of what NXT truly is. I am surprised that many main roster talents were on one show, or at least being called out like Sethington, and the other three were literally on the show. And where does it end? It seems day to day, hour to hour, minute by minute, second by second with this company. From Shawn to H, we'll add Vince in there. It seems like everything in this company, from top to bottom, beginning to end, start to finish, is second to second. Next week, you could see a couple more free agents show up, or just people plucked from a brand to show up. You want to laugh and go, that's funny, BC, I wouldn't doubt it. But it's not funny. It probably will happen. I don't know what NXT is, and it's sad because it has so much potential. And to see the viewership be that low consistently, I don't think it's justified. Or at least I didn't think it was justified. Now, I absolutely think it's justified because Paul Levesque is telling us so. Paul Levesque is telling us why you should not care about NXT. It is literally one thing one week, another thing the next week. It's whatever they need it to be by the week, by the show. Guys, that's what I got for you on this Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Anything else that comes up that's a mega story, I will put in tomorrow's podcast. There's a lot of business to get to today. And of course, you have Dynamite later tonight. So to my amplified unit, to the new members that have jumped on board, much love and respect. To Colin with that super thanks down below on the last podcast yesterday. Colin, I saw that, man. Wasn't able to get the actual super thanks back up on the screen. But I did catch that. Hold on, let me try to get it now. You know what, Colin? I'm going to get that right now, man. And to Yellow Rose and WWE AEW Marvel fan, I read your super thanks at the end of the last video, yesterday's podcast. Toward the end of that podcast, I gave you guys a shout out on those super thanks. Yellow Rose and WWE AEW Marvel fan. For yesterday's podcast, Colin says, BC, the community of the IWC got 3 minutes. Wait a minute, did I hear myself say 3 minutes? JK, the community has been in shambles since 2010. The same schmucks wanted Impact Wrestling to die, and now they're celebrating their 1,000th episode. Yeah, the wrestling community never knows what they truly want. They're very, what Bryan Danielson calls, fickle. That is sad to say, but it's very true. And when you got decisions being made at the top by people like Paul Levesque, and it's contradicting every single sentence, every word, and the hypocrisy is at an all-time high with the contradictions, the fans are going to follow suit of the suits and ties like Paul Levesque. So, Colin, absolutely. I love the 3-minute reference. I remember Eric Bischoff in 3-minute warning. That was good, Colin. So, guys, all the super thankers, man, that button down below that throws the content creator a coffee on podcasts and vids like this, man. I appreciate those very much, and I always want to make sure I give you guys a proper shout-out on them. To my channel members, you guys absolutely are the top tier of the unit. Cannot thank you guys enough, but you know what I'm going to do? It's an impromptu to end this stream. It's an impromptu roll call of my gold team. This is up to date, guys. The YouTube machine updates this list every single hour, it seems. So it's the most up-to-date list of current members. And that's for people that had to step away for a minute but re-upped, got re-amplified with the gold card membership. So it is completely up to date, guys. JR9 Gaming, the first one ever to earn that gold card. Jacqueline Robinson, the former channel member of the week. There's a new channel member of the week. You know what? Through the auto generator, I'm going to declare that at the end of this roll call, guys. Be waiting for that. But Sir Charles, for the whole last week, I think plus, has been the channel member of the week. Sir Charles, Rockstar status, Amp Star status. Sir Charles, Jacqueline Robinson, JR9 Gaming, and Godswilla, Jack Brewer, Ray Foreman, Kim T, Dante, Jaron 23, Anthony Bowley, Sadiqua Flowers, Eric Leno, A. Merrick, D. Carre, PB, Silly Pride, Carlos Ray, Sam Byers, Ash Stegmeister Stegels, DJ is a Prodigy, Alicia Vukovic, Batty Banks. I got to go to a whole nother page here, guys. That's how many unit members we have now. Trina Scott, Pimp Jesus, Janelle Layton, Raymond Karan, Nessie Sunflower, Yamos, Santivia Major, Jared Kelly, James Shrimp Fajitas. I believe the first ever unit member of the week was James Shrimp Fajitas. G, a.k.a. True Life to God, Christopher Blackshare, Network Guy Dave, Dwayne Piazza, Quentin Gilbert, Pile Driver Finisher, Savage 1024 The Punisher, Brand Q featuring Quincy, Rachel Rocca, Mr. Big 200, Jamal Straken, Venus Soldier 92, Robert Hurt, Snake Venom, Silver Black 31, Jimmy Fingers 19, Sterling Range, Ozzy Edwards, Taryn Dawn, Jane Donnelly, Buggy, Ray Hunt, The Up Channel, Colin, Blitz 2K5, Dave Mille, Angel Olega, Big Nang, Jason Martinez, Richard Rodriguez, Kevin MD, DeMonte Ty Drew, Richard Wade, John Gray, Cosmic Fool, Knights of the Round, Brian Robinson, DC Lanier, Ash Sims, AWS Promotions, Muhammad Isa, Sean, Fresh Stylers Inc. Podcasting, Deontay Thomas, Ramon Brown, WWE, AEW Marvel fan, Swift 718, Go Jackets, Mike Coldren, Rage Hall, Bad Big Dog 95, Titan Poetic Chef, Ron C 23, Eric Newton, Clutch City Fan, Unique Butterfly, Jeremy Harris, Willard Bayless, Corey Mitchell, Tacos for Tonight, Renee G. Renee G, I think, was the first ever unit member, no? Or was it James Shrimp Fajitas, then Renee G, then Sir Charles? I got my list. I'll get it accurate. Well, we're going to add a fourth name to that. Deshaun Sanders, Jason Barker, D Stands Alone, Maximus Sage, Gruss 512, Nina, Aquarius, Gaming R3 App 3R. Where'd we leave off? D Blog 85, James Miller, Cy E Parker. I know I got Maximus Sage, correct? And Nina. Yes, I did. Soldierman 1984, Ali, Dylan, Ubish, Jonathan S., Eddie, Logan, Patrick Charles, Kimberly Walters, J. Con, Sassy 2208, Neon Firefly, Sassy 2208, two Sassy 2208s, David 77, Kevin Johnston, Sabres News Consolidated, Jeremy Orr, Michael Thayer, Sheriff Rivers, Lawrence Cherry, Spicy Mama McCaleb, and D Money A Cash. Woo! Now that is an amplified list of gold card members, my channel members. Damn, man. Salute to every single one of you guys. Yesterday, I put all the AMP unit members, the list at that point anyway. Again, it's by the hour, so if anybody had to jump off the list for a few days or weeks, I totally understand. But you were taken off the eligibility list if you were not a channel member as of the time of the auto generation yesterday. All the names just go through the auto generator and it lands on one, and that's the amplified member of the week. You can win it more than once, guys. So Renee G, James Shrimp Fajitas, Sir Charles, they can always win it 2, 3, 4, 10 times, 100 times. It's an auto generator. So, but this was really cool. It's a tried and true, so it's not a new member. It's a tried and true, been with the channel for the longest. Always good to see this person up in the chats. Just really brings a good vibe to the channel. It's just always good to see my tried and trues from almost the beginning, if not the beginning. You know, you really remember that, and it's really such a benefit and so awesome for the channel. So anyway, this is a tried and true. So good to see the generator land on this name, Christopher Blackshare. Christopher, as I say, Christopher Moltisanti from The Sopranos. So whenever I see Christopher Blackshare, I always say, Christopher. Hey, Christopher. That's how Tony used to say it to Christopher Moltisanti in The Sopranos. Christopher Blackshare, man. Salute. Congratulations. You are at the top of the list. The Amplified Channel Member of the Week. So when I call the board together at the head of the table, will have to be Christopher Blackshare. Appreciate it big time. That's what I got for you guys, man. Lots of talk on NXT, and it's just loss of identity. Did it ever have an identity? I don't know. I don't really know, man. But I also want to give big thanks to my unit. All right, I think that's everything that I got. Let me see the things that I wanted to speak of. I just think it's going to take too long. Yes, it is. Yeah, it definitely is. Real quick, you guys hear what Conan said? Conan says about the ladies division. This was funny. Conan says, and I quote, "Look at all of them. Natalya is stale. They put Raquel with Shotzi after they put Raquel with Liv Morgan, which was after they put Raquel with Aaliyah. Becky and Trish might be the only ones with a quality storyline. They've done an atrocious job with Bianca. It's not even Bianca's fault. It's creative's fault because she's become stale as well somehow. I wouldn't even mind her turning heel." So he just went one down the list of a bunch of the females. And guys, he's not wrong. I understand Conan can be polarizing with his comments, but it's everything that we've kind of said, you know, as much as most of us anyway, we like Bianca. I don't mind her title run at all. Could it have been better creatively? Of course. But she's done good by it. It's sad to see it end on a B to C level premium live event on a Saturday afternoon and not on a big stage like WrestleMania. In a rematch to her WrestleMania opponent. And it's for a title where she's on the opposite brand. So it sucks to see the end of that long title reign end so oddly. I felt she deserved more than that, but it's not Bianca's fault. As far as Natalya being stale, absolutely. That's why Zoe Stark defeating Natalya to go to Money in the Bank doesn't seem prestigious, because Natalya is far from prestigious. Her booking has fell off the mountaintop long ago. Nobody can care about Natalya. You'd have a better job of putting in Handjob Holly, the local enhancement talent from the bingo hall. Put in Handjob Holly, let Zoe Stark beat her, and that would have gotten a better reception and response. As far as Raquel teaming up with Shotzi, of course, he's right. Shotzi came from the SmackDown side in full gear, no pun intended to AEW, but she's in full attire, runs out of a Raw locker room, Raw curtain, and joins forces with Raw's Raquel. How? You're on SmackDown. Why were you even in catering with your full attire on and Adam Pearce didn't catch you? Did you have a hall pass? Did you have a visitor's pass like Paul Heyman? And how did you get into the ring to save Raquel and then all of a sudden you're a tag team? He's right. You know, and at this point, nobody would want to be a tag team with Raquel. You're going to get injured. Look what happened to Aaliyah when she was in a tag team with Raquel. Injured. Look what happened to Liv Morgan. Injured. Look what happened to Shotzi the first time. Minor injury, but injury. Here's a second time. This is going to be, if Shotzi goes down again, that's 4 tag team partners with Raquel. Damn. So no, I don't actually blame Conan for that. Anyway, guys, that's what I got for you. Rock out the rest of your Wednesdays until next time, and there will be a next time. Top guy, I'm out. BC saying check you. Salute.